Welcome to @MarketingKitchen TV Q&A Live. All you need to do is go to @MarketingKitchen TV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. Chapter 3 of 6. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Welcome to video 3 of 6 for the fall 2020 session. Welcome to @MarketingKitchen TV Q&A Live. All you need to do is go to @MarketingKitchen TV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. Okay, thank you very much for coming back for what is our third chapter for the fall session. So this is the third of 6, and I'm going to continue where we left off from chapter 2. And this first question today is from Laura. And Laura curates by asking this: can you dive into how important this is in 2020 SEO strategy? Our text in chapter 8 just said that we should anticipate natural language recognition questions that consumers are asking their Alexa, Siri, or Google Assistant as the newer, better strategy. That's a fantastic question. I actually have a couple of LinkedIn posts. I mentioned in chapter 2 that I do a content program. So if you ever go to my Ron Vining, so ronvining.com LinkedIn account, you'll see there's 12 posts a day from me. And I have a few floating around that are talking about this new natural language search. And in particular, so for Amazon Alexa and Microsoft Cortana, and so what's Google? Is it Google Home or Go Google or whichever it is? And then of course Apple Siri. Well, Siri actually acquired an app that we probably all are familiar with, and I don't even know if you know that Apple did this, but Apple acquired this utility right here called Shazam, right? How many people are familiar with that? There's a reason why Apple acquired Shazam, and it was the fact that Shazam has actually been listening to not just people, but it's been filtering through noise. So you'd be at let's say at a basketball game, so you'd be at an NBA game in the Garden, and you'd hold up your phone and over the noise of the crowd be able to pick out a song that was playing, hopefully. Or you'd be at a noisy bar and there'd be a song and you'd play it. Even though the song wasn't being sung by the original artist, it would be able to pick it out with language recognition. So the reason why, one of several anyway, that Apple bought Shazam was to be better at that natural language source. Now there's another Laura, I don't know if you're aware, another type of search, and I don't remember if the chapter talked about it or not, but it's also visual. And there's a number of players in the marketplace that are being able to take the ability where you use the camera on your phone if you've got that app, and you will be able, and not even need to take a picture of it, but similar to, I guess, a QR code in a way of just by looking at it with your camera lens, and then being able to do a search on it. So the point where you would be able to, let's say you saw somebody walking down the street with a bag or with a pair of shoes or whatever it might be, and you would hold your phone, camera looking at that person, it would be able to identify you what make and model those shoes were, or the bag was, or the dress that was being worn. And same would be true for a car or this or that. So it's that it's similar to like facial recognition technology, but for products. So if you enable that type of visual search with voice search, that just takes search to a whole nother level, right? Because right now we have to think. Some people are really good at search, some people are really bad at search, right? Maybe, and you've probably played that game before, where I don't know if you have, but I've done that with some of my friends, and I've done it at conferences that I've spoken at before, where I say, everybody take out your phone and I want to see who can find this item first. And it's really all about being able to, and from type search, text search, being able to write the right string of words to get to what you want. There's also some other factors like the geolocation that you're in and your past search history, because your device does know you as a profile and the types of things you might be looking for, so that adds into that. But anyway, yeah, great question. So I just wanted to give a little bit of history there before I answer what exactly is being asked here by Elizabeth. So Elizabeth says SEO keywords can range from single words to more complicated phrases and sentences aimed to generate digital traffic, social shares, and sales for business. How important is it for a business to be in the top several Google search results? Okay, that's great. So without knowing that, Elizabeth, you pretty much just touched on what I was talking about from a single words to more complicated phrases and sentences aimed at generating a specific traffic. So how does visual search, this text-based search, as well as natural language search, impact not just search itself, but also impact the business and the importance of SEO? I mentioned in chapter 1, so that really sort of rough first episode that we had this fall session here, where I was looking over here for some unknown reason. And in that episode, chapter rather, I talked about the importance of whether I'd go to do a pay-per-click campaign, or whether I would go with SEO, SEM. And I think, and again, I still stand by SEO, SEM as being the choice of the two, because of the fact that consumers are getting more savvy about how they search for things. So as a marketer, the better you lace your website with the appropriate content, the better you will be found in the push versus pull media type of economy that we're particularly in. And even in the physical world, like still today, when I'm at a mall, and thankfully malls are open in Singapore, though, anyway, I'm not going to get into politics. I'll try not to. Even before this time, I would, if I saw something on a store shelf and I saw the price of it, I would always look up to see what the price was going to be online, but it might take me some time to figure it out. I also too, because I split my time between Singapore and the US, I also have another layer of buying power, if you will. I can choose whether I'm going to buy something here in Singapore or whether I'm going to buy it and have it shipped to my home in the US and then bring it back with me when I come back to Singapore. So then, you know, I'm also then looking at currency exchange rates and things of that nature to figure out where I might get the best deal on some things. Of course, some goods, you know, can't be transported back and forth so easily. But the point is that we as consumers we turn to that search. But if we were able to then utilize our words, and so I don't know about you, but I'm tired of typing on my phone or even on my iPad. The Mac is still a bit tricky. I don't like Siri on my Mac so much, but I do voice searches all the time now, or I just speak, and you know, hopefully I get what I'm looking for, and it's just easier. So I do that in the store as well. So the specific question is, how important is it for a business to be in the top several Google search results? I think it's incredibly important. I remember at the time that Google Plus was still popular. Well, not that it's not popular now, it doesn't exist anymore. I used to post heavily on Google Plus, not because anybody actually saw me on Google Plus, but because it increased my search rankings. So if you were to, not now, but if you a couple of years ago, back when I was speaking and training and consulting, pretty much now I've stopped doing some of those, but I've pretty much now even stopped consulting. because I'm spending time developing, I'm just teaching you all, as well as developing my own technology platforms now at home. But before then, I utilized Google+. I would utilize a conference producers program and event as a way to promote myself on Google+ and other social media to improve my search rankings. So a few years ago, if you just typed in content marketing masterclass, I would come up organically. I would come up organically in the top, whatever, 3-5 search results in Google. So not spending a single penny, just doing content marketing. And that, of course, then would mean that if somebody were looking to hire for that, that would happen. And I would do the same thing in storytelling-based consulting or training or speaking. Anyway, whatever the field was. And so so how important is it? Well, me as a small business owner, it was huge, because by coming up in the top 5, always above the fold, if you will, so you didn't have to scroll to find me, I always had work. Always had work. It just came. But doing it on LinkedIn and doing it on Twitter and even doing it here on YouTube doesn't have the same impact as Google+ did in playing into those search results. And also, I talk about in one of the videos that I did about digital Darwinism, the fact that now we're at this huge saturation point where people like me are just buried by conglomerates and the amount of content that they're just putting out across so many other platforms, and they're popular. And Google rates things based on the amount of people that like something or click on it or engage with it. So it's not just to be there, you also have to have that engagement level. And if you don't, then you're going to fall down in the results. So I haven't done a Google search for a long time. I don't even know where I fall. I don't even really care at the moment, because that's not what I'm working on. So that's why I don't care about it and why I haven't invested any time on it. But I certainly see a correlation between the fact of me not putting that work in on the SEO, SEM, and then also not having my phone ring anymore. And if the phone rang, I wouldn't have time to do that work anyway, because my own projects are more important to me than working on someone else's. So anyway, great question, Elizabeth, and I hope I answered that. And then great question, Laura, and thank you. Okay, I think I said I was going to try in Chapter 3 to answer questions a bit more quickly, and I just failed at that task. Let me see if I can do that with the next several questions here, okay? All right, let's see what we got. All right. At Ronald Vining, hi. Hi, Jennifer. I think we would like to hear you talk about the future of marketing industry. What do you think the new marketing industry will look like? Will traditional media turn into a modern media, and what will it look like? Good question for the Q&A. All right, so will traditional media turn into a modern media? What will it look like? So I think, Jennifer, what you're kind of asking is that, so what's the future of marketing, the marketing industry? Does the traditional media of what we call traditional media today go by the wayside, and what we call digital media today, does that become the traditional media and then it goes by the wayside, and then what's next with that? I'm thinking that maybe that's what you're asking. Let me see about the question that you curate for a little bit more insight here. Many companies are integrating traditional media with new media in their marketing strategies. Would there be a day when traditional media is completely gone for marketing? Okay, I guess that's right. Would media integration still be competitive in the near future? Okay, great. So that's a great question, and all right, so I appreciate the collaboration there, the two of you there, and giving me a more complete question to answer. So as much as even though we have all of the technology at our fingertips right now, so even though we've got all of this technology at our fingertips right now, how many people are still using physical media? Okay, raise your hand. How many people out there right now, today, are, not maybe this minute, but today, using physical media? I think a lot of us are going to raise their hands. In fact, Steve Perry, the former lead singer of Journey, known as The Voice, he just put out a new album, and not only did I buy the physical CD, I also, for the first time in, how old am I now? So for the first time in 30 years, I bought a vinyl record, and it's a picture disc, okay? So when we talk about, and now keep in mind, my iTunes library, okay, doesn't have 10,000 songs in it. My iTunes library has over 10,000 albums in it. And those 10,000 albums, most of those were actual physical CDs before I moved to Singapore that I converted into iTunes and, you know, have on hard drives. I had a massive DVD collection, massive Blu-ray collection, and what a waste of money, right? Because but how many people today, though, still pop a CD in a CD player? Or the trend has come back for vinyl? Or did you even know that cassettes made a comeback thanks to Guardians of the Galaxies 1 and 2? People were actually buying cassettes, and the cassette mix playlist from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was in the top 10 selling albums, so not digital downloads, of all music formats in that particular year. And so then what, people are either collecting them or they go out and getting cassette players again. And people now, it's a big business to go out and buy a turntable to be able to play these records. So how many people, so maybe that's a stretch for some of you. I'm guessing most of you don't have VHS tapes anymore, or Betamax. And some of you are like, huh, what's he talking about? But how many people have a physical book? So maybe you opted to buy a physical book versus have a digital download of a book. Maybe you, like me, right? One of the reasons that I love Lego, and Mario that I mentioned in Chapter 2 aside, being a hybrid, one of the reasons I love Lego is it gets me off of my devices. It gets me actually building and engaging, using my eyes on something other than a screen that's staring back at me. So when we talk about traditional media, newspapers, books, magazines, your in-flight magazine, those are probably gone now. I've not flown since the situation has happened, but there was physical media. People would still pick up a book at the bookstore at an airport so that they'd have something physical to read in their downtime. People still love to read a book, right, on the beach. I like to bring a couple of magazines with me to the beach, or the newspaper. So yeah, we still live in a physical world, and traditional media still exists. And also traditional media is the radio. Talk radio is bigger than ever. Traditional TV, or cable TV used to be new media. Now we've got streaming media. But how many people, when Disney Plus decides, or HBO Max or Netflix chooses to censor the content on their platform, how many people will then turn back to their physical release of that particular media, the DVD or the Blu-ray, to watch it? And I think about, so I've got Disney Plus, I've got Amazon Prime, Netflix. When I haven't signed up for HBO Max yet. I'm going to wait until Justice League, the Snyder edition, comes out. I have Apple TV Plus. But my point of saying all of that is that I also have Blu-rays. And when I want to watch something in 3D, even though on my Ultra HD TV, I can download in 4K and watch in 4K, putting the DVD into my 4K DVD into my 4K DVD player, Blu-ray player rather, sorry, my 4K Blu-ray into my 4K Blu-ray player on my 4K TV, and then putting on my 3D glasses, and then hitting the 3D conversion mode, there's a huge difference, right? So I I don't think we're going to ever see the end. So to answer your question, I don't think we're ever going to see the end of traditional media. I think things that we consider to be new media today, they will end up becoming traditional media as new media technologies evolve. As we get into, and so we're talking about new media too. So what are new media? Holograms, right? So using AR, using augmented reality. I think VR has finally found a bit of a following, but I think it will never be able to make inroads in the same way that AR does, especially native AR. And what I mean by native AR is the fact that we won't need to, maybe we'll just have to put on glasses, but they won't be anything special to be like nothing more than just, that. They don't have to, they won't be shaded, they won't be like 3D glasses at a movie theater, or you'll just be able to look at things through your device. So just put your screen up and then see it. Of course, at some point in time, people are going to be pushing for implants and chips, and that's when I'm out. So anyway, to answer the question for you is, I think that media integration will continue. New forms of media will always be invented and come about. Some will be faster versus slower in their adoption. There are certain events that will happen that will force or push the disruption and the acceptance of that and the transformation to happen, similar to what happened in this year. So, right, more companies and more individuals were forced online now than ever before, and that led to digital change. So the transformation happened due to disruption, forced disruption. So traditional remains, new media, digital media remains, and new media remains. And I think that there will always be a need to create a cross spectrum or hybrid approach to it. So yeah, I mean, I call that a hybrid, or we call it Omni-Channel. And so I think Omni-Channel marketing will always exist. And it's really about understanding, I've talked about this in past videos, but not this fall session really. It's about following your consumer on their journey. So from the minute that consumer wakes up, so what wakes them up nowadays? I'm assuming that it's their cell phone that does. So they look at that. As soon as they look at the time, they then zombie-like walk in, I guess I'm talking about myself, into the toilet. They begin to go look at either their messages, their email, or their social, right? So or maybe it's social, messages, and then email, whatever it is that you were looking to do. Maybe they see their notifications first, and that directs them on what to do. So that's step one, step two of the journey of the day. Step three is that while they're getting ready, maybe they're watching their smart TV on their actual physical TV set mounted to the wall, or maybe they're watching on their phone, or maybe they're watching on their iPad. Maybe they don't have time for breakfast and they get on the train, but on the way to the train or the bus, they see billboards, or they see some type of a transit display. They'll see a bus go by, they'll see a taxi go by that will have an advertisement on it, or a truck that will have information on the side of it. And so we'll be captivated by that for a moment. We'll see logos that people are wearing on their t-shirts, or God forbid that we're still wearing masks, that we'll see on their masks. And that will influence our purchase decision on our journey. Then we'll get on to, again, so the bus or the train, or we're walking, or we're driving and we're stuck in traffic. We'll be listening to the radio at that point in time, whether that's satellite radio or that's traditional radio, and we'll be hearing the ads that are there. So my point is that as the consumer moves on their journey, they're going to be bombarded by a mixed use, an omni-channel of messages. So they go to work, they go on their laptop, let's say, they're bombarded with ads there. They read the newspaper, there's ads there, there's messages. There's the digital display that might be on the train. Especially living in Asia, the transportation network is far more advanced. There's digital displays in the toilets, there's digital displays in the lifts, on the buses, on the trains, in the stations. So there's always an opportunity to engage with some form of advertising or marketing, right? So that makes things just a tad bit different. Sorry, just speaking of Omni-Channel, just checking something, notification and something I had to take care of. And so you're bombarded by all of that. Then you get into the store and you've got consumer displays, you've got the end caps. Do you see how even in a virtual world we're still impacted? Then, you know, anyway, so fast forward, it's the end of the day, and what do? You end your day the same way you started it. You check your alarm, make sure that it's set. What do? You look at your email, you look at your messages, you look at your social. Maybe you interact with some content here or on your smart TV. You hopefully put it down, and then you get to sleep. So that's the journey, and the journey has hybrid media across it. It's omni-channel. So it's really about you as a marketer, going back to where it was asked to me in a prior question in a prior chapter about personas, but it's really about understanding your customer, understanding their journey, and then seeing the way with which to follow them across their journey so that they're being hit by your messages at any point of the day, on any channel, at any time, any place, anywhere, any of all of that. All right? Okay, great question, and I appreciate that exchange right there. Thank you so much. Okay, going on to the third question today. And Cody asks here, I think this could be a good question as I'm interested in finding out how search engines can be used with marketing. That's been a hot topic this semester, it seems, or this session anyway. So let me see what the specific question is, Cody, that you are looking at here. Social media marketing provides countless benefits to brands and businesses. How powerful can the use of social media marketing be when combined with search engine optimization? Read more on the benefits of integration from your source that's there. Yeah, and I encourage anybody watching the videos to go to our companion Twitter feed. So it's right up there. So it's at MarketingKitchen TV. So at MarketingKitchen right there, TV on Twitter. Utilize the hashtag Q&A, and you can find all of these great sources that back up or provide further insights into the things that I'm talking about. Excuse me. I mentioned that I had this huge, when I was recording, in between recording chapter 2 and chapter 3 here, I had a huge bowl of lo mein with steak and chili. Yum. Okay, anyway. And I've downed juice on one side, I've downed my coffee, and now I'm downing some water. All right. So yes, social media marketing does provide countless benefits to brands, Emily. I agree with you. And so how powerful can the use of social teamed up with search be? Well, totally powerful. So, and in fact, I pretty much answered this in my second than the past two questions actually, where I talk about the fact that by utilizing, so first, okay, you want to, regardless of whether you are want to build up your own personal brand, so whether you want to just build up your own personal brand, like who you are, what you do, so people can find out about you, or whether you are a company that provides products or a company that provides services, whether you're big or small, what you want to do is you want to create some really compelling content. And so what is really compelling content? And well, I do a whole video. There's a video that I've done, it's a masterclass, it's everything you want to know about content marketing and then some more, okay? So you can check a look at that. And then I also wrote a blog post about what was the name of that? Social growth via value-added content, okay? So I think I really covered those two, both in that blog piece and in that video. So those that are watching this video, look for those, go to the masterclass section here on YouTube, and then I also will then reference the blog, I believe. But anyway, it's on my LinkedIn profile. That's at ronvining.com. You can just check that out and read that blog and then watch that video. to give you the background of what I'm going to say here. But compelling content, right? The right picture, the right video, the right text, the right use of a mention so that the person you want to see it sees it, the right use of hashtags so that the person who's searching for it is able to find it, and then of course that own unique spin that you put in there. So by creating that really powerful content, not only on your own website, but then sharing that content on social platforms, directing them back to your website, creates this ecosystem, this synergy, so that when somebody goes to search for somebody having the characteristics of the person that you present yourself to be, if you're pushing your own self as a brand, or whether you're pushing a product or a service, again, whether it's yourself or a company's, that synergy there, that integration that you talk about, or that you mentioned there, really optimizes that entire experience so that you can be found. And you want to be found, right? I'm assuming that's the purpose with which you do that. So I hope that, so how powerful can it be? It is the most powerful, it's the second most powerful thing on the internet today. Want to know what the first most powerful thing is? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to put up their hand and guess what the first most powerful thing is? Because this is the second. Because what we're talking about right now is we're talking about organic. The most powerful thing that you can do is you can do everything that I just said, and then you can pay to promote that. So if you do everything that I just said, and then you pay for it with PPC, with sponsored posts, with YouTube video ads, video ads on YouTube, and you're paying for it on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, or if you want to, or on LinkedIn if you really want to do a B2B play, then you can take that whole process to the next level. And so, all right, fantastic question, Emily, and also for Cody for highlighting that for me. I appreciate that. Okay, let's have this be the final question for Chapter 3. And so Madeline asks right here, I can really tell what's top of mind, and a lot of people want to talk about things related to the current situation that's going on, and that's understandable. Okay, so the question here is, this is a good, so at Ronald Vining, MarketingQ. And remember though, if you want to ask questions, go to at MarketingKitchen TV, use the hashtag Q&A, and I'll answer your questions right here on YouTube. Okay, so this is a good question because after this, it will be interesting to see if more companies change to digital marketing or continue the traditional marketing strategies. Okay, I agree with that. I'm curious to see what happens next too. And so let's see, what does, and I clicked on the hashtag by mistake. Let's see, we just had a question from Emily, and we have a second one curated from Emily too. So your questions were popular. All right, let's see what the question is. Success is possible using both traditional and digital marketing methods. Will more companies start to adapt integrated marketing campaigns? Wow. Well, I guess, so this question actually wraps up this whole video in some ways, because your last question hinted around, touched on one piece of this, and the question that I answered prior to that also dug into that there too. So will more companies start to adapt integrated marketing? I don't think they'll start to do it. I think that's the norm. They have to do that. I think, I guess you're kind of asking in reverse, in the sense that since everything has made the shift to digital, will we revert back to traditional and then hybrid to cover both? And I think the answer is yes, because there will be a settling down. There will be a return to normal, hopefully. And when that happens, we'll have to again reach the customer where they are, going back to that journey piece of that. So following the customer from start to finish. And by doing that, that hybrid approach or that targeted approach to that, we will be able to fully realize our potential, not only as us as a personal brand, but also for the products or services that we are marketing as marketers, either for companies we've started or companies that we work for. So that was great. That's actually a fantastic question to wrap up to this session here. So wrap up chapter 3. So wow, so we're now halfway down for fall 2020, heading into Thanksgiving, just a week away. Thanksgiving is just a week and a half away from the time of this recording. I'm amazed at how quickly time is going by. Wow. Okay, I look forward to seeing you again in what will be chapter 4. And in that case, we will be picking up with Hugo's question. Okay, all right, so we'll see you in chapter 4 of what will be our 6-part series. So 1, 2, and 3 are down, and I'm looking forward to responding to questions for chapters 4, 5, and 6. And if I get some more time between now and December, then I'm going to answer as many other questions as I can as possible. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching video 3 of 6 for the fall 2020 session. I look forward to seeing you in our chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.